Today we're going to talk about one of my favorite ways to save time and money. And to do that, we are going to take a look at my freezer. It's high time for me to organize my freezer. I've been kind of just throwing things in there, and now it's a little hard to see everything that I have, and it's easy for me to forget. So I thought that as I go in to organize my freezer, I would take you along, show you how it looks right now, and then how it looks once I have everything organized. And then we will come back here and talk a little bit about what foods, especially convenience foods and prepped meals, I like to keep on hand to save me time and to save me money feeding my family. But first, if you're new here, hi, I'm Rebecca. I blog at the Tex-Mex-Mom.com, and then here on YouTube, I like to share videos about frugal living, specifically about saving your family money on groceries and frugal meal planning and things like that. So like I said, today we're going to talk about one of my favorite ways to save time and money, and that is keeping your freezer stocked with some foods that are either pre-made meals that you've made or maybe some convenience things that you've bought, and then also meal ingredients that you've already prepped ahead of time and they're just there in your freezer, so that when you need to make a meal, you can pull stuff out and it is super easy. It saves you time, it saves you money because you're not running off to the drive-thru or to the grocery store last minute and buying a bunch of things that aren't on sale. So I want to talk about all of those things, but first, hang with me. We're going to look first at my freezer and how it looks now, and I will show you everything that I have in there, and then we'll come back here and talk. Okay, I'm going to give you a look at what my freezer looks like right now. I did not clean this out ahead of time or anything, so this is just how it is. It desperately needs a wipe down because the kids have put popsicles and ice cream in here and stuff has spilt, and yeah, so it's messy. There's sticky crumbs and stuff, and then everything is just so jam-packed in here that it's kind of hard to get to what I need. So here's just a look at how it looks now. It's the door that definitely needs to be cleaned. And then everything, yeah, is just super stuffed in here. You can tell that I just have been throwing things in here and haven't really organized it well. So I just really need to get this organized. So I'm going to start with this, and then I'm also going to do our fridge in the garage, which I will show you next. Okay, here is the garage fridge. There's really not as much stuff in here. I have some yeast there on the door, some butter, which I will probably take that inside. I really need to restock on butter. But as you can see, some things are just kind of thrown in here haphazardly, and this could also use a good wipe down too. So I'm going to work on that, just kind of wiping out the crumbs and getting things a little bit better organized out here. Okay, so here's what the garage fridge looks like now. I have some yeast up here and a couple of the kids' little treats that will probably get eaten up today. And then over here I have bread, some chicken broth that's frozen flat, and some rice to just stay fresh in the freezer. And then I have some drumsticks, some chicken breasts, and a whole chicken back here. Those just fit a lot better out here in the garage. And then I have some hot dogs, some from Costco, and then some basic ones from Aldi there in that basket. And then in this bottom basket, I have a whole bunch of these factor meals, which I've told you guys about. They come fresh, never frozen, but they do freeze well in my experience. So we have a bunch of those in here. Our neighbor gives them to us every so often, which is so kind, and they're super convenient to have. So I just have those down in the bottom here, along with a few like freezer thingies. And yeah, that is it for the garage fridge. I do still have plenty of room in that meat section there. So I will be stocking up hopefully soon, some more on meat. So I'm glad to have that extra space there and have everything just kind of cleaned out. Okay, here is the inside fridge, or freezer rather, looking a lot better now that I was able to just wipe it down and get everything organized a little bit better so I can actually know what I have. I did throw a few things away too. But over here on the door, I have my homemade chicken broth, several of those, and I like putting them in those 2-quart containers when I have them. Also have some cranberries here to use for muffins later, and a little bit of ham broth, which I need to use that up soon. It's been in here for quite a while. Then down here at the bottom, I love just throwing all my frozen veggies here. I just need to be careful to rotate them so I have the oldest ones on the top. But it's just a convenient spot for all of those, and I'm pretty well stocked on those right now. Then this is kind of more like a lot of different random things. We have breakfast sausage, frozen strawberries back there, and then some homemade burritos that I can just pull out for lunch or whatever. And then let's see, some bananas and some frozen zucchini in there too, and some cheese, and then a little bit of leftover sauce. So that's kind of the catch-all spot. I'm gonna pull some of this stuff out from here so I can show you a little bit better what I have. So I've pulled a few things out so you can see back here, and this is all cooked rice and cooked black beans. So packaged in a couple different ways, but I love having rice and black beans already ready and cooked because it's so convenient to have them. So these are the other things that I had there. Some yeast. This is taco soup that's all ready to go. These are meatballs that are already cooked, and I can just pull those out. And then a few meals here. We have enchiladas, mac and cheese, and then baked ziti. I love having homemade meals ready and frozen so I can just pull them out, let them defrost overnight, and make them the next day. And here's everything we had on the top shelf, some chicken nuggets, and then some of my prepared meats. So this is shredded chicken, I think like 2 cups, and then some grilled chicken that I chopped up, and it's all ready for me to make fajitas or something like that. And then I have some cooked ground beef that is divided up and double bagged, then some uncooked ground beef. And then this is ham that I chopped it up and divided it into, I think it's like 1.5 cup amounts, and I use that for the ham bun recipe I like to make. So obviously it's not a ton of prepared meat, so it fits pretty well in this little container here, and so that stores well on that top shelf in the freezer. Okay, so now that you've seen my freezer, let's talk a little bit more about some of the things that I think are good to stock up on and have on hand to save you time and money. Now, you've already seen some of those, and let's start out talking about freezer meals. Of course, it's great if you can get freezer meals from the store. I know like Costco has some really great ones. I especially like the Costco lasagna. They have 2 kinds, but the kind that has sausage in it, and it comes like in a 2-pack, and they're a little bit smaller. You guys probably know what I'm talking about. Anyways, I love that lasagna. I actually never make lasagna. I just buy that when it's on sale. So yeah, store-bought things like that are great to stock up on if you have the room. But what I really like to do is to get some of my own meals that I've made in the freezer. And the easiest way to do that is to just make extra. When you're already cooking for dinner, just make it double, and then you can put half in the freezer. For quite a while, our family was small enough and the kids had small enough appetites that I could do like a recipe that made a 9x13. I could just split it into 2 8x8s. We would eat one and then stick the other one in the freezer. And that worked really well for a long time. And maybe that would work for you for your family size. Now we're kind of growing out of that. I have to usually I'm gonna need more than an 8x8, depending on the meal. I do have, you saw the macaroni and cheese that I had in the freezer. That is just an 8x8, but that works perfect for the kids and I for a lunch, or I would thaw it for a side for dinner and we'd have it along with something else. So I still do freeze the 8x8 size too. So it just depends. But I love it when I'm already making something like the enchiladas. I was already making enchiladas. I just made extra and now I have some in the freezer. Same with the baked ziti. Other meals that I like to freeze would be like poppy seed chicken. That freezes really well. Other pasta dishes besides baked ziti, there's a $1 million spaghetti recipe that I like that I've frozen multiple times. Stuffed shells freeze really well. And then of course, multiple soups. You guys saw the taco soup I had frozen, but multiple soups will freeze well. I would just avoid ones that have rice in them because that rice and also potatoes sometimes can freeze a little weird. Although I think I have done it before and it's okay, like a veggie soup that has a few potatoes in it, it's not a big deal. Probably wouldn't freeze like a potato soup, straight potato soup. But yeah, a lot of soups do freeze really well. And so I like to do that. Since I only had one like container of taco soup frozen, I just had it in an actual container. But if you're freezing a lot of soup, it works really well to lay it down in bags and so that you can just stack it and then it will fit a lot better in your freezer. I've also frozen my mom's meatloaf recipe many times and that freezes really well. I usually will cook that one and then freeze it cooked and then just warm it up. But you can do it either way. And as you saw, I also had meatballs in there that were already cooked, and that is another super convenient thing to have. So I would encourage you, as you are making your meal plan for the week and making your grocery list, think about how you can just get extra ingredients and quickly whip up a double batch and then just stick half in the freezer. You will thank yourself when you look at the calendar and you see you have a busy day the next day. You can just grab one of those out, stick it in the fridge to defrost overnight, and you have a meal, easy meal, no prep at all. I know also a lot of people like to freeze crock pot meals, which I haven't really done, at least much, but you would just put all the ingredients that you need for that crock pot meal in a bag. And so then all you have to do is defrost it, or maybe not even defrost it, just enough to get it out of the bag, toss it in the crock pot, and then that's an easy meal. There are so many recipes for those sorts of things on Pinterest. If you just look that up or Google it, you can find so many ideas for that sort of thing. But you may not have a ton of room in your freezer for a bunch of pre-made meals, or maybe you just don't really love doing pre-made meals or whatever. But another really good thing to have on hand, even if you don't have the space or whatever for the pre-made meals, is to just have a bunch of meal ingredients prepped. Like the chicken that I had, like the shredded chicken and the grilled chicken and the ground beef that was already cooked. When you have things like that ready, it cuts down on your meal making process so much. It's so convenient to have. So yeah, I like to have chicken that is prepped multiple different ways. Obviously I don't have a ton in my freezer right now, just what I had, like a little bit of grilled chicken, a little bit of shredded chicken. But ideally I like to have a lot more than that, so it's just ready for multiple recipes. I also like to have marinated chicken in there. So it's not cooked, but it's already in the marinade. So I have like a fajita marinade that I like to use. I've also done it in like a soy sauce marinade for stir fry, and that is really convenient. So basically whatever you can do ahead of time, that can be ready in the freezer, so you can just grab it out when it's time to make a meal and you will really thank yourself. Of course, you guys saw in my freezer, I also really like to have beans and rice frozen because they really freeze really well. I usually do black beans, but you can do pinto or, you know, your favorite kind of bean. And then I usually do brown rice, but again, you can do multiple, whatever your favorite rice variety is. And yeah, it freezes really well and you can use them in multiple recipes. And it's just, you're a step ahead when you are ready to make that meal. Now I had just run out of this, so I didn't have it to show you in my freezer, but another thing that is really helpful to have stocked is chopped onions, and also sometimes chopped peppers too. You can buy those at Walmart, but it's definitely going to cost you more than if you just buy a big bag of onions, chop them all up, and just portion them out in whatever, you know, amount you normally use. For me, it might be like half or even quarter cup amounts, depending how much I want in a recipe. And I will just put it like in little sandwich baggies and then stick them all in 1 gallon bag. And then I have this pre-portioned, ready, chopped up onion that I can just throw in whatever recipe I'm making. It's super convenient because that's just one less step. I also like to do it with peppers, especially like for fajitas. Obviously, you're not gonna freeze peppers and then want to defrost them to just eat them by themselves because the texture is gonna be a little off, but they're perfect in fajitas or stir fry or other things like that. Bread freezes super well too, so I love when I have extra bread in the freezer and extra homemade bread like muffins and things like that. That can be really convenient, especially if you make some sort of like a breakfast muffin. You can package them individually and then you just pull them out at breakfast time and you have an easy breakfast. Same with like breakfast burritos, those can freeze really well. And also just having breakfast meat like sausage that you just have to like heat up, it's not actually raw. Things like that will save you time and save you money because you're not tempted to run off and buy a Egg McMuffin at McDonald's. Another thing that I love to keep in my freezer that I did not have right now because we've eaten it all up is cookie dough. I love to make cookies but only bake like half of them, and then the rest I will already have in the little balls. Just stick them on a cookie sheet and let them freeze, and then toss them all into a Ziploc bag. And then I have cookies that are ready to go. At any time I just have to plop them in the oven, maybe bake them for like 1 minute more, but usually not all that much more. And I have fresh homemade cookies. So I love when I have the time and get those cookies prepped for the freezer. It's so convenient. I'm probably gonna finish this video and then realize that I forgot something. But you guys let me know in the comments, what are some of your favorite meals or favorite meal ingredients that you like to have prepped and ready in the freezer to save you time and save you money? Of course, you guys saw that we also have a lot of those factor meals in our freezer. And like I said, those are not something that we purchased, but our neighbor has given them to us very kindly. And while I wouldn't normally recommend those for a large family just because, you know, they're just individual portions, they have really come in handy for Pablo and I. Like different times when he's come home for lunch and I'm doing just something really simple for the kids, I will just grab a couple of those out and heat those up for us. And they work really great. The factor meals come fresh, never frozen. And so the idea is that you would eat them that week that you get them and you never have to freeze them. But ours, since they've come from our neighbors, usually she's thrown them in the freezer and then I just stick them right in our freezer until we're ready to use them. And they've all been fine. And I can warm them up straight from the freezer if I need to, or I'll just put them in the fridge the night before. And it's never been an issue. Some of them say, you know, not recommended to freeze, but honestly, the food has always tasted great to us. It's not been a problem. So if you are looking for something really easy like that, I do recommend you try them and see what you like. I know they have quite the variety. Obviously, I haven't tried everything that they have to offer, just what we've been given, but I can say that we have enjoyed those and they are very, very convenient. A couple quick freezer tips before we're done. If you have a lot of stuff in your freezer, I would say especially if you have like a deep freeze, I would suggest labeling things even with a date so that you know how long it's been in there. And going along with that, you want to be rotating things, which I need to do better, like with my frozen veggies. A lot of times I just toss them in there, but what I really need to be doing is rotating it to make sure I'm using up whatever has been in there the longest. I usually don't have a problem with that with like my meats and things, just because I don't have room to stock up a ton, so I'm going through everything pretty quickly. But again, especially if you have like a deep freeze, you want to be rotating those things so that you don't have some stuff that's been sitting on the bottom for like forever and getting all freezer burnt. Also, you'll want to just consider saving space, especially if you have a smaller freezer, and that's something I could do better with, doing more bags where you can freeze them flat and then you can either lay them in stacks or set them up like this. And yeah, that would save a lot of space, and I do need to do more of that. If you have any other good tips for freezing things and making things last a long time in your freezer, let me know in the comments. Okay, you guys, I'm feeling a lot better now that my freezer is a little bit better organized, and now I can actually see what I have and I can make a list of what I need to stock up on a little bit more. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like. That helps me out a lot, so thank you so much for doing that, and I will see you again soon in my next video. Oh, and if you need something else to watch, I'm going to stick a playlist here of some other videos that you might find interesting. See you next time. Bye.